All right, stocks after last week trying to come back this week. We've got stocks up about 16 points right now. A lot of it hinges on concern about the president's economic agenda, his tax-cutting agenda. We've been hearing from Mitch McConnell and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin saying that agenda is still on, that they're confident they'll be able to move forward, and 100% confident, according to Treasury Secretary, that those tax cuts will go through and will get done. But the devil is always in the details. Strategic Digital Chairman Dave Maney, and we've got Fox Business Network's Deidre Bolton. Glad to see Deidre back. Well, what do you make of this, that he's got to get a W here?
I think so, especially from the speech tonight, right? First speech post-Bannon. And of course, we have to remind everybody, Bannon did not want to send additional troops to Afghanistan.
That's right.
From a market's perspective, I'm going to just be watching defense stocks. I know with your past guest, he was saying, listen, this is about 4,000 troops or 5,000 troops to bring it up around 15,000, which is still off the low of about 100,000, right, under the heights with President Obama. So it's a small move if the president does give those details. But still, as far as the market goes, I will be watching defense stocks, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, just to see how they move. But I agree, tone-wise, this is really important. I mean, the S&P 500 is off 0.5% since Charlottesville, Virginia. We had this great run since inauguration. We've had an 8-year bull market. So we can't be too greedy, but I just think tone-wise, people want details. And as you said yourself, even down to their pocketbooks, the tax cuts, the fiscal stimulus, and then, of course, we have Jackson Hole later this week for a lot of the institutional investors to be watching what Janet Yellen will do, ECB, Bank of England.
All right, a lot of things to worry about here. Dave, one of the things that has come up when we discuss the president's speech tonight isn't so much what he specifically even outlines for Afghanistan, or for that matter, North Korea, important as it is, but to reclaim the initiative, because there are a lot of folks who are getting increasingly concerned that the markets are seeing these tax cuts and other things slip away. Are they justified in that? Because they've bounced back from the lows, but what do you think?
I think they're justified in worrying about it. I mean, we haven't even had a definition of exactly, tax reform. I mean, think of the clarity when Steve Forbes ran for president and said, look, here's my code, and it's going to be on a postcard, and he said, here's the rates, and here's what I'm planning on. And we've had nothing with that kind of specificity. So to expect that the markets are somehow linked completely to the idea of they can't do analysis around squishy.
What if they don't get it this year?
I mean, look, my own view is that they're all right. Every analyst at every shop on the street is watching your show right now, constantly taking into account the political realities. And so to me, the idea that we're headed for some cliff if, in fact, reform fails, I mean, it's already been discounted, right? That the chances of it not happening, in my opinion, are already relatively baked into the market. So
really?
I'm telling you.
Even the market, I know it sold off last week and all, but it is still up appreciably.
Because what bet are they making, in effect? What are they? They're betting on what?
Yeah.
They're betting on an unspecified.
The U.S. stock market, the cleanest dirty shirt in the closet, in the sense that people don't know what else to do with their money in some respects. But then there are other analysts saying, look, this is priced to perfection. So if we don't get the details, and we've had an 8-year bull run, there are a lot of people.
But you know what amazes me about that, and I've heard this too, and Dave actually touched on the last visit here, that if you've seen the market hold up, last week notwithstanding as to Charlottesville, through all the doubts about the president and his deteriorating poll numbers, it seems to hold up, which leads me to believe, this is just my opinion, that maybe this isn't all tax-centric, that maybe this is earnings, low and stable interest rates. The likelihood of a Fed hike now has been reduced. 41% of investors apparently in the latest tracking seem to think that's going to happen. That those are the factors helping the market.
And consumers still spend, right? And that is the engine of our economy. I mean, that's 2/3 of our GDP. Whether you want to make an argument that it's a positive or a negative, I was taking a look actually at U.S. household debt. Credit cards are up again. Again, there are people who say, great, consumers feel good, they feel confident,
or
so
they
they're
could
willing,
be building a problem.
Yes, or they could be building a problem and like, oh, I need to use my credit card to buy groceries. That's bad.
All right, guys, if we can go full on this right now, this eclipse right now is taking place here. And I mention it because we haven't seen anything like this since 1979. And perhaps Dave and I are the only one of an age to remember that. But Dave, it's interesting because I was thinking of what was going on in 1979. And, of course, that was in February of '79 at the time. But of course, it was the year everything imploded for Jimmy Carter. And by this time, in the summer of '79, we had long gas lines again and the second energy crisis. Everything was going to hell in a handbasket. Not that an eclipse presaged it, but the year started out so well with great promise, or it looked like Jimmy Carter was on his way to getting reelected. And we know how the year ended, and that was hardly the case, and the hostages, that sometimes these events can be telegraphed in the strangest of ways. Do you see any '79-ish developments here?
Well, that's a great question.
I have many like it. Yeah.
You had the twin-headed snake of the really bad economy in the Iranian hostage crisis, which was death for a presidential administration. And clearly our president's not performing the way that I think he's capable of. And yeah, you could be one.
And we should say this president is overseeing an economy and a market environment that was decidedly rosier than it was at that time in the last eclipse. But you do worry sometimes, and I know there's no connection here about history repeating itself. And these events seem to telegraph it. The one, back in 1918 and 1898. I mean, you go back further in time that, a year or so later, there was great trouble afoot.
And I'm just so focused on maybe we should all go buy shag carpeting
Exactly.
and get the cars with the wood paneling.
Way to go, baby. Right.
The philosopher, and I'm thinking like, oh, all right. I guess,
the eclipse indicator.
That's it.
Who would have thought of it?
Who would have thought? Who was the astrological guy who used to do that? Remember there was a guy?
Oh, yeah. Carol Ryder or something like that.
Well, who am I to judge this? I am just saying that these things are rare. You're seeing it live on your screen in Oregon as this continues to make its way eastward across the continental United States. A rare event for those people in the neck of the woods, but quite a few of them. And if you talk about the totality, someone corrected me when I said 75 million Americans will see a partial or total eclipse. Someone else just told me it's more like 140 million who will see at a minimum a partial eclipse. I don't know if that figure is accurate. I do know those in the direct path of this, 14 million strong. It could go to 70 million. Needless to say, a sweep here, the likes of which we've not seen since Jimmy Carter was president of the United States. We'll have more after this.